Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is a video designed for the weekend. So in this video, we are going to discuss something very strategic. And I want to just share with you my vision and my master plan for myself and also for you guys and the whole content strategy for the channel on X and YouTube, and explain a little bit why I even do these things. Why is it so important to talk about Tesla? Why is it so important to talk about generating alpha with investments in Tesla? What role do robots, AI, and many other things play in our own lives over the next couple of years, over the next 5 years, over the next decade? And I wrote up a little bit an overview over this big topic that I will cover. It's not a topic, it's a whole paradigm that I will cover over the next year and evolve that, of course, with you guys together to see how we can actually create a future that is prosperous for us, where we make money with the right investment strategies, but also understand why we need to do all of these things. I call that strategy Pioneerland. And let me explain what this is all about. So when we go into this, I structure this into 12 different chapters that I will again and again take perspectives on in these videos with you guys, getting feedback and sharing my insights. And this is a very big narrative that will shape all our lives, our societies, our families, our personal strategies for a long time to come. And it starts with chapter 1, where I'm and when I talk about chapters, this will be videos, but I'm also working to reveal the secret here. I'm working on a book where we capture that whole narrative, so we have something to actually align, our activities against. So the first big paradigm and chapter is Tesla's secret plan for humanoid robots. Yes, they will replace us. So this big plan, I already talked about this in multiple videos. Other people also start catching on. But there is a major revolution coming in humanoid robots. Not in a distant future, but right now. I think 2025 is the year where we will see these breakthroughs in humanoid robots. And for many reasons, it is Tesla that will dominate and capture this market. That is a great opportunity for Tesla shareholders. I know there are many cool companies out there that do many cool things. But as explained in previous videos, when you look at it strategically, you need too many different orthogonal skills and qualities and infrastructures to win that race to humanoid robots. And only Tesla has them. You need to have massive supply chains. You need to have massive sourcing capabilities to generate billions of these robots. You need to be a cost leader in manufacturing. You have to build machines that build these machines, the factories. You need to have massive financial resources to throw into R&D that only Tesla has, with billions and billions invested every single year out of cash flow into these research. And you need massive sales capabilities that only Elon has. Who else can, in a single tweet, pre-sell millions of robots? Only Elon, because he has 210 million followers and everyone loves Elon. Who has the political connections? The connections in politics into different countries like China, like Germany, like the United States, Korea, Japan, to make sure the governments actually approve this kind of stuff to replace the entire workforce with robots. So only Tesla is positioned to do that. And the second important insight is that this is happening right now. The technology to make humanoid robots replace all human labor is already on its way to be realized in the next, I would say, 24 months. And most people do not see that coming. So that is the first big theme that we are going to discuss again and again, because we need to track progress. We need to understand what's going on. Now, the second big chapter and theme that is tightly interconnected with these robots is why Elon's AI will surpass human intelligence in 2025. By the way, this is this year. We live in the year 2025. AGI, artificial general intelligence, is not years away. It is here. I wouldn't argue it is here today, but it's going to be here in probably 6 or 9 months. The countdown has begun. This is a very important event in human history. For the first time, we have a technology that replaces us as humans in terms of intelligence, in terms of the ability to understand, recognize the world, to be more imaginative, more inventive, and more understanding of the reality around us than humans, than most humans. This is very, very big. It is interconnected with the robots because the robots will need that AI. But this goes beyond robots. It's going to replace jobs also where you don't need physical, embodiment. And it's going to be very, very big beyond all imagination. And again, the big news here on this channel, what you learn is the timelines. It's all about quantification. Everyone agrees that humans will be replaced by AI. The question is it 2040 or 50 or 60, or is it 2026 when this happens? Now, it's going to happen much sooner than we think, and this will have enormous, enormous consequences. And the big consequence, the biggest of all for now, I cover in chapter 3, sorry. The chapter 3, and I had a great video on this that got a lot of attention, is the job extinction event. Tesla, robots, and AI will take every job by 2030. By the way, for those of you who are not, Tesla followers, you think, Joe, why are you saying Tesla? This is just AI. Why not OpenAI? Why not NVIDIA, Microsoft, all these other guys, Google, figure one for the robots? I shortcut the whole discussion here. This is a quick just summary. Bottom line is Tesla and Elon will dominate this entire thing. In AI, there will be a battle. There will be other strong AI companies. But for many reasons, Tesla will take the lead. And this job extinction event, the elimination of effectively all human jobs by 2030, some people criticized me and said, what do you mean, Joe? There will be still humans employed in 2030. That is true. But effectively, at the moment where robots and AI will be able to do every single job better than nearly all humans, no new jobs will be given to humans. All the old jobs will be eliminated over time, and we will see a tremendous level of job loss to the order of 5 to 10% of all jobs lost every single year starting in 2030. Or starting before, but in 2030 it will come to full swing. In other words, if you know anything about job markets, a job market that is stagnant is very bad for new applicants. A job market that is shrinking is a nightmare. A job market where every competing applicant is a robot and AI and is much better than you, effectively means you're not going to get a job. And if you have a job, you're not going to keep it for long. The idea that every technological advancement has led to these kinds of problems and we have always figured out a way, of course, we're going to figure out a way. I'm going to go into that, but there would be this way will not include new jobs, because what we have to do, the occupation we have in the future will not be a job. So that leads me to chapter 4. The only job left for humans in a robot and AI world will be reality engineering. Let me elaborate. That is the key concept I'm introducing into the discussion. Around that, the entire concept of Pioneer Land actually evolves. Reality engineering is not a job. Reality engineering is the ability to envision a more desirable piece of the future, then to engage in its building and engineering of that new reality, to learn and to fail, then to repeat the process, to reimagine, rebuild, and relearn, and then to persist. These 5 skill sets are the key to be a good reality engineer. You have to imagine a better future. You have to start building that better future and engineering it, including the deployment of capital and the organization of whatever needs to be done. You need to learn what you did wrong when you fail. Inevitably, you will fail in the beginning, and then you have iterative cycles, and you repeat, and you persist. Each of these 5 skill sets, imagination and creativity, to imagine futures that actually make sense and are not wrongly imagined, to build and engineer these futures by organizing labor and capital. Labor means the robots and AI in the close future, but including humans in the very close future. And to learn from your mistakes. Then to become, and to learn means also to study things very quickly, to think in first principles, to listen and connect to people, and very rapidly understand reality with critical thinking skills and be right and not wrong about it. Then to reimagine, rebuild, and relearn, and do this very quickly, which is the repeat component of your skill set. And repeat has to do with economics, with deploying things efficiently and increasing the speed and efficiency of these iterative cycles. And then finally, the most important of all, skill persist, which requires vision, passion, other people, things like that. That is the central skill set that humans will need. Reality engineering is not a job because you won't have a boss. No one is going to tell you what to do. You have to come up with everything. You have to be a leader, and you have to see and spot the big opportunities of humanity or of your own specific life and reimagine a world in that this problem is solved, and therefore the value creation level is increased. That is a very non-trivial skill set. Robots will never be able to overtake that area, not because they couldn't, but because we will not let them. Because this is one segment where AI and robots can never compete with humans, for the simple reason that this is not a performance question. It is a question of power and who's in charge, who actually determines our future, and it must be humans. Now, it will not necessarily be humans. There are dystopian outcomes where we will lose the ability to do that, especially if we are bad in doing it. That is why it's so important that we all become reality engineers. Now, the first level, and that leads me to chapter 5, the first level of reality engineering is the ability to understand and predict the future accurately, which is a very non-trivial capability that I take you guys on a journey here with me, to be very good in predicting elections, politics, geostrategy, geopolitics, but it's specifically the one area that pays us money for doing it, which is investments. So in 2025, in my opinion, it's a little more dramatic than what I said here, but in 2025 to 27, let's say, is our last chance as humans to become capital owners. You have to transition from being a worker and getting paid for your work to becoming a capital owner and being paid for being right and deploying capital efficiently. In the past, that was just the area for smart people who then became rich people. Now we don't have a choice anymore. If you do not become a capital owner, your ability to make money will be eliminated. You will not be able to make money. And if you think there's some UBI strategy that some nice rich guy or a nice government will give you money for free, I think you will be very mistaken. That's unfortunately not how humans tend to work. You need to make sure you get your money from yourself. And the only way to do that is by being a capital owner. Number 6, I ratcheted up a notch and emphasize, based on, that 2025 survive paradigm or imperative, how to seize control of your capital. So this is a very important step for you, for everyone. Right now, what's happening is people are little workers, right? You're a manager, you're in marketing, you're in advertising, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, whatever you do. That will not be necessary in the future. Whatever you do there adds no value anymore in the very close future. If you're a doctor, what value do you add? You see patients, you try to understand what their problem is, and you write prescriptions. Do you really think you will not be outperformed by an AI by end of this year? If you think that, you're wrong. The AI already outperforms over 50% of doctors in quality as we speak. And it's going to be 99% end of the year. If you're a lawyer, if you're a top 1% lawyer, maybe you still have a job, in 24 months. If you're not a top 1% lawyer in capability, you're completely useless, your skill set as a lawyer, very soon. AIs will be able to write, your complaints, your cross complaints, and all these kinds of things much, much, much better and faster than you. So you better find a new occupation that pays you. And for jobs that need less skills, if you're an administrative assistant, if you're a marketing person, hello, it's going to be game over. So very important. Now is the time to seize control of your capital. If you know anything about economics, value is being created through labor or through capital and by technology. Labor falls to the wayside. Your only way to generate value is through capital. Most people are not aware how capital generates value and how they can generate value through capital. The understanding of reality, the prediction which stocks will do what and what companies do what, and the allocation of your capital in the form of, stocks is not nothing. That's what most people think. Oh, it's not creating value. You're just, making some decisions. No, it's in the future, making the right decision because you understand the reality better than others is by an enormous distance the only way to generate value, plus creating new realities, of course. But you cannot create new realities if you're not very good in capital allocation. So we all need to be capital owners and allocators. Unfortunately, all of us own capital. But the way we actually handle that capital right now, the vast majority of the population, I just read this horrible statistics about, I think, Germany or Europe, that only 12 or 13% of all people actually own stocks or index funds or mutual funds. That is horrifying. Mutual funds and index funds don't even count. That's not capital allocation. That's not smart. So an even smaller percentage owns stocks. In the US, it might be 50% or something, but still that means 50% are out of the game. So this has to immediately change. The people who are invested in stocks often have what's called financial advisors. My advice is not financial advice. My advice is kick your financial advisors to the curb. You cannot have other people manage your capital. That's complete madness in the future. You need to make this your number one job. You need to become a capital owner. You need to become very good at that. I'm not saying you can't have a financial advisor, but most financial advisors totally suck. The same what I just said about doctors and lawyers applies much more even to financial advisors. You can ask ChatGPT or XAI, they will be much better financial advisors. So you have to learn to listen to advice and get advice, but you are the decision maker and you need to be the owner because that is the future. And that is your one way to survive this whole robot AI apocalypse. Now, that is how you survive and avoid elimination. Let's make no mistake, this whole thing that is happening is very dramatic. It opens up the path to utopia, to a perfect world for some of us. But it also opens up the path to complete dystopia and complete elimination of humans. Now, what no one tells you is utopia and dystopia are not two stages or situations or scenarios in the future that will apply to all humans. I can guarantee you that the world will become 100% guaranteed massively more dystopian for a lot of people. And I can also guarantee you that it will be massively more utopian for a bunch of people. The question is not if the future is dystopian or utopian. The question is, will you live on the dystopian side or the utopian side? And the rules of getting to utopia here are very simple. Seize control of your capital and become good in capital allocation. Stage 1. Stage 2, become good in reality engineering. We get to this in a minute. So, chapter 7 will then cover how bad education and culture, with culture I mean movies and all kinds of crap that puts thought structures in our minds, how education and culture turns us into AI victims and how we fix it. In other words, what's happening in universities, in schools, in pop culture, in Hollywood, in movies, in the media, what people tell us is bad. Of course, there are exceptions, but the mainstream stuff is very bad because it raises us and our kids and everyone and our youth in ways that makes us passive dummies. That is part of the woke mind virus problem. Part of the woke mind virus problem is not, and I always point this out, is not that they are telling us insane stuff. That's the first level of problem with wokeness or, all these things that we have going on in universities and schools. A much bigger problem than telling us crazy stuff is that triggers a fight over that crazy stuff that detracts us from actually learning useful stuff. So the woke mind virus is so dangerous and terrible, not just because of the madness it tries to get into our brains, but that it all puts us all onto the defensive. All the smart people who say this is crazy stuff then have to waste their time and intellect on fighting the crazy stuff. We should neither learn the crazy stuff nor fight over it. It should not be part of our lives because we have a lot to do. We have a lot to learn and we have a lot to discover and figure out. How do we engineer reality? How do we do all these things? So, how we fix it? Well, we need to fix it by self-organizing, better culture, better education. We need to understand that in this new age, all of us become students again because whatever happens here, no one has ever experienced, no one has the final answers. And I always tell you, I don't have all the answers, but I do have all the questions. That's how you start. So, The only way to win here in the age of AI is to self-organize and identify ourselves as what I call pioneers. People who want to actually build that future, people who want to embrace and build our own utopia, because now we have unlimited opportunity and capability in front of us. But if we are not pioneers, if we are passive little receptacles of propaganda, we will get crushed and eliminated. And it will happen very, very soon. So we are at a crossroads here. We need to become pioneers. We need to seize control of our own lives, and we need to build a new civilization. Not because we can. That's only first part of the equation. But because we must. Otherwise, we will get eliminated one way or the other. So uniting the pioneers is the key. And to build culture and education for ourselves, where we explore reality, figure out how to make more money, figure out how we are on top of predicting the future more accurately and translating that into money, aggregating the resources and deploying it then against the key level of that new mini civilization we are building among us, will grant us tremendous capabilities. But we have no choice. We have to do it. Number 9, I hinted at it. We need a new form of academy, the Reality Engineering Academy. This thing doesn't exist, and we need to build it ourselves. It actually does exist because I just started telling you guys, and we have over 100 members now in our little academy. The rules of this academy are simple. It's free, but you can't just join. You need to have a certain, skill set. We are working on that. We are self-organizing here. We truly want to build the future and unite the pioneers. We need to become more and more selective the more it grows. I mean, we got 100 members after a couple of days, so it works pretty well. Our first focus is to make money with Tesla by understanding all these things. And then there are more levels. There are 3 more levels. And we figure out how to construct these levels and have an intelligent debate around it. And we hold ourselves accountable by making sure we always progress personally. So it's going to be a good exercise. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I truly believe the key to the future lies in these pioneer academies, because the future of humanity, the future of every civilization was always lying in the academies. Look at ancient Greece, look at Rome, look at the Middle Ages, look at Europe. They always created the future in their academies. That's also why it's so great that the woke mind virus has effectively destroyed Western universities. So they're up for grabs, right? Nothing is left effectively. And now we can build something very new, but we have to figure it out. Now, chapter number 10, the Age of Pioneers. Here I kind of summarize the whole thing and get to a very important paradigm, right? The Age of Pioneers. So all of that leads us to the Age of Pioneers that we can now initiate. I don't have all the answers, but I have all the questions. The question is, how do we do that? How do we self-organize? How do we gain power? How do we get coordinated? And I summarize this into 3 central paradigms that define this Age of Pioneers. The first one is trust. And what does that mean? Well, let me first tell you all 3, and then I get back to trust. It is trust, it is brains, and it is balls. We need trust, brains, and balls, and then we build the future. So, brains and balls, we need to be smart. That includes critical thinking. That includes holding each other accountable. That is what I love about the trading community. Because if you're an options trader or an investor, the last thing you can afford is to be delusional, right? That's why you have no leftists in trading. Because if you were leftist in trading, you would lose all your money immediately because you're constantly wrong about reality. And you have a feedback loop that is called your net asset value. If you are wrong, you get punished really badly. So if you have good traders and good investors, they are trained to not be self-delusional because the punishment is so harsh. So brains means you need to be good in exploring and understanding reality. You need to hold yourself accountable and build frameworks that hold you accountable to always be right. And if you're wrong, you get punished. That creates excellence in predicting the future. Balls, also something you learn in trading, but also in politics and as an entrepreneur. Balls means you cannot just be a brainiac that is passive. It's about its execution. You have the balls to actually go hard in when there is an opportunity to risk everything and win. That is a whole different dimension. We need people with balls, because without balls, you can't be a pioneer. You need to be daring. You need to take, appropriate risks. And appropriate means not just be cautious when it's risky, but also go all in when there is an opportunity. Again, in stocks, you learn that very quickly. It's all about really recognizing these phases where the stock is just going up and go all in these phases, which is very difficult. You need a lot of balls for that. Brains and balls are the key to building greatness. But I throw in trust, because trust is one of the most underrated things that is missing among the current culture of winners, right? Today you have winners and losers. Winners are the Silicon Valley guys, David Sachs, Mark Andreessen, Elon Musk, of course, this whole crowd. You have the Wall Street crowd. These are the winners. And losers, I don't have to go into, who the losers are. But the winners have a problem. The winners tend to be greedy egomaniacs. And when you go to Wall Street, a bunch of them are also psychopaths. So that's a big problem. And what is the future? The future is a future where you also win, not just through brains and balls, but by creating trust. And of course, Silicon Valley always says, oh, we're also about trust, but forget it, it's all a big lie. Like Silicon Valley is all about ripping each other off. And then there are small crowds of people who stick together so they can rip other people off together. So maybe they have a little bit more trust than Wall Street, but it's a total joke. So trust means that we truly, not fake, truly extend our interests and our rational calculus and our brains and balls beyond our immediate egocentric interests, right? If you have 5 dudes in a room who plot something out, it is important that not each of one also plots how he rips off the other 4, which is totally natural in Silicon Valley. Everyone does it to an extent where they don't even see it anymore. They do not understand what I'm talking about because the paradigm is too deeply entrenched. They say, of course, you first take care that you make the most money. No, not of course. That's stupid. Why? Because there is actually an upside in generating this trust. If you act as a unit, you will make more money for everyone. It's kind of the prisoner's dilemma and, game theory and everything. But deep inside is a cultural issue. We need to surround ourselves with people who we like so much that we don't mind if they win, maybe even more than us. That also like us so much that they are not going to take advantage of it. Why is this so important? Because if you build a trusted community, you will be able to build a new civilization, and only then. So that is a whole science we have to develop. Where does trust come from? It has to do with diversity and lack of diversity. It has to do with understanding each other. It has to do with not being delusional and pretending you trust people you can't trust. So this will be a whole big, question. And it's going to be very important to design that accurately. So we have trust, brains, and balls together, and then we absolutely win. Now, I go also in chapter 11 into a bigger question. How do you save your country? Because, we should do that, focus on smaller communities, 100, maybe 1,000 people, and we can build tremendous power. We can build tremendous, winning for us. But, having grown up in Germany and knowing German history, if you do not focus also on politics, if you don't care about politics, politics is going to care about you. You cannot avoid also dealing with politics. If you allow your country to drift away like it happened in Europe and it used to happen in the United States in the last 4 years, where people become more and more tyrannical, where people become invasive into your free speech, then you will lose everything because tyrants will interfere with your plan. So you need to be involved in politics, all of us. We need to make sure we live in free countries, in libertarian countries, in low regulation countries that allow us to build these things. The government cannot build the future, but it can destroy the future. We need governments that allow us to build the future and get out of the way. And if they don't, we need to attack them and replace these people with better people. So we need to stay involved and see when there's a problem. That's why I'm speaking up on politics, by the way. Not because I like it. I think it's always a little toxic, but we need to do something. We cannot be sitting ducks. And then finally, my last chapter will be As you can tell, I'm very non-delusional about what's coming. I point out the opportunities. I point out a lot of risks. In chapter number 12, I will just look at the future and say, besides all the risks, and besides the risk of total elimination, which is not nice, we also have a chance here to build the truly next level of human evolution, of human civilizational evolution in this amazing whole situation. So if you ask me, do I like to live in these times that are extremely challenging? Most people don't understand even yet. But I tell you, in 3 or 4 years, people will understand what's happening. And they will be freaking out big time. I still like it that we live in these times, because what is on the other side of the struggle that is coming is so huge and so transformational. I think it's an absolute privilege, an historic privilege, that we are the generation being put into that whole vortex. That is up to us to turn this around or transcend this. I think it's super powerful. And all of you who are with me, where we do cool things on Tesla, where we build the best trading group and aggregate more wealth, I think we have to understand that all of that only happens because there's a much bigger purpose. And we don't have a choice, because money alone is not going to save us. But money is a very good starting point to implement these things. We can build something absolutely amazing and historic, but we need to start building trust, brains, and balls. Maybe we start with brains and balls and add the trust over time. And then we are off to something incredible. So that was my little video over the weekend. It sets the pace for 2025. These 12 themes will be recurring on YouTube and on X. I don't have all the answers, but I have all the questions. And together with you guys, we are going to develop these answers. And it's going to be epic. And we find the right balance between being visionary, predict the distant future, the 5 to 10-year future, but also make sure that every single week we win. And with win, I mean money. So by combining these things, long-term vision, conceptual strength, predictive power, and combining it with working together and generating ruthlessly alpha over Tesla, that's how we pull something very cool off here. So hope to see you very soon and you enjoyed that. Until then.